and the last thing I've been able to do is watch cricket. And forget about Ashes. Even my own country, I have time to watch, because what I've gone through in the last 14 months, I mean, everything else before in my life, like cricket, has become, trivial.
Well, now, former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan has warned his country could be heading back to the dark ages. In the last year alone, Mr. Khan has been removed from office, faced an assassination attempt, arrested by the military and handed dozens of corruption charges. That's all while violent clashes continue between the police and his supporters. Well, Imran Khan joins me now live on the programme. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Kathy.
Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. You face, I think, more than 100 criminal cases and charges, including treason, corruption and murder. Do you fear being arrested again imminently?
Well, Kathy, there are 170 cases so far, and I'm heading towards my first double century. And these are in the last few months, because at the age of 70, I never had one criminal case. And in just a few months, I've 170. And the objective is to put me in jail, because you see, this is the election year. And my party is by far, right now, the biggest party, the most popular party in the country. According to all opinion polls, in the by-elections, we won 30 out of 37 by-elections. So the establishment has decided that whatever happens, I should not be coming back into power, because they were the ones who removed me 14 months back. Well, and so all this is going on really to ensure that I'm disqualified or in prison, so my party loses the election.
Well, whatever happens, if you are thrown in jail, if the worst happens, will you and your party continue to run for those elections?
Well, I'm almost certainly going to go to jail. I mean, I am mentally prepared, because, 170 cases, and they're increasing by the day. So all they have to do is cancel bail in one of the cases. And then, of course, they've got military courts now. And military courts, because in the civilian courts, the cases are so bogus that none of them, I get bails. But in the military courts, for sure, they'll put me in jail. So mentally, I'm all prepared for going into jail. But yes, definitely the party will fight contest elections.
And when you say mentally you're prepared for jail, I mean, do you fear it? Do you worry how you'll get on in jail? When you say you're mentally prepared, how are you doing that?
Well, look, I've had so to the listeners, when I was removed 14 months ago, it was expected that the party would just fizzle away, because the establishment is all powerful in Pakistan. But the reverse happened. The next day when I was removed, there were hundreds and thousands of people for the first time in our history who came out in the streets protesting that this was what had happened, was a conspiracy. And since then, the party's popularity has just gone up, despite all the oppression that has taken place to dismantle the party. And so why do I feel right now I will be put in jail? Because I had one assassination attempt, because when the party was still growing, that's when they tried to remove me physically. Then on the 18th of March, there was a second assassination attempt on me, which I was very lucky to get away with. So I feel that they are determined that whatever happens, those who removed me do not want to see me back in power.
Do you worry?
And therefore, Yes?
Apologies, I was just going to ask you, do you worry that you might not live to see the elections at this rate?
Look, I'm, someone who's quite fatalistic about this thing. I believe that, when your time comes to go, and it's in God's hands, and, nothing can stop it. In fact, the 2 times I escaped death, the only reason, there's no logical way I should have escaped it. It was, in my opinion, the will of God. So in a sense, whenever the time comes, we have to go. But jail is a certainty. And jail is a certainty because they feel it, that if I'm inside and not campaigning, then my party will not win elections. Although 10,000 of my workers are in jail as I speak. My entire senior leadership is in jail or hiding. And the ones they can only come out, I'm talking about the leaders, if they renounce being part of my party. So they're actually trying to dismantle the party. But the vote bank is according to all opinion poll surveys, is stronger than ever.
And what do you think will happen? We've seen all these protests when you were arrested before. If you are actually thrown in jail, what do you think will happen on the streets? What will the repercussions of that be?
You know, Kathy, the reaction to the way I was manhandled, the way I was picked up like a terrorist by commandos, where I was sitting in the precincts of the High Court. It was totally illegal what they did. And it was the way they beat up everyone and then and treating me like some sort of a criminal. So that's what got the reaction. Because all they had to do was show me a warrant and I would have gone to jail. They didn't need commando action to get a 70-year-old man to pick him up like that. So therefore, that created a reaction. But I think what sort of a reaction, I don't know really, because the oppression right now, we have never seen such oppression in this country. I mean, I've seen 3 martial laws. I was in the opposition under General Musharraf's martial law. I was in jail for 6-7 days. But it was liberal compared to what's going on right now.
Wow.
I mean, the media is muzzled. One of our best investigative journalists was hounded out of the country, killed. One of the second best guy has disappeared for 40 days. And then 5 or 6 of our top media guys have left the country. So this sort of oppression is unheard of. My name cannot be mentioned on television. I mean, forget about making speeches or interviews. I cannot be mentioned on television.
Well, the cases against you are registered under anti-terrorism law. The government says that your supporters used petrol bombs and that they're therefore justified in using that law. What do you say to that?
Look, you know, in France you have demonstrations. In Pakistan, all the demonstrations that took place in my 27 years, every time we have been peaceful. It is a constitutional right to hold peaceful demonstration anywhere. Now, unfortunately, since I have been out of power 14 months ago, the peaceful demonstrations have been attacked by police. We have all the evidence. I mean, given a chance, we will be able to prove in a court of law, which we haven't been allowed to have a chance, that we were all the time peaceful demonstrators were attacked. On 9th of May, 25 of peaceful demonstrations were shot dead. 50 got bullet wounds. And you know, so all I'm saying is, and none of the police was harmed. They were unarmed people. So there's no even investigation in people being shot.
If you've got right on your side, as you say, why do you think it is that you haven't had more support from Western governments around the world?
I think, you know, well, my 3.5 years as Prime Minister, you know, the Western governments, their interests are much more important than moral issues. Because, you know, for instance, I mean, India has the UN human rights have charted the number of human rights violations in Kashmir in India. But India is a trading partner, so no, there's no condemnation. Similarly, right now, I think our government is supporting Ukraine. And so therefore, although they know that this is an undeclared martial law in Pakistan right now, our democracy is being dismantled. You know, all the institutions which uphold democracy, like the judiciary, like free media, like political workers being victimized right now, they all know what's going on. But I think that, you know, there's no condemnation from the governments. There is some from the media, Western media, but none from the governments.
You know, people here know you very well as a cricket star. I wanted to ask you, it seems almost trivial compared to what we've been talking about just now, but I wanted to ask if you've been watching the Ashes.
No, Kathy, listen, in the last thing I've been able to do is watch cricket. Forget about Ashes. Even my own country, I have time to watch, because what I've gone through in the last 14 months, I mean, everything else before in my life, like cricket, has become, trivial.
I mean, it's sad because, obviously you're so consumed by your political troubles, understandably so, of course. But I wonder whether when you talk about mentally preparing yourself for jail and staying strong, as it were, does the memory of your sporting success keep you going in some way?
Do you know what? My cricket, I hardly remember much. I learned lessons from competing on the cricket field, which helped me in my latter life, whether I was, building this cancer hospital, which was for the poor people. If I hadn't taken the highs and lows of sports and understood how to take the bad times, I would not have succeeded there, and certainly not in politics, because I was in the political wilderness for about 14 years of my life. But the last 14 months, what I've gone through, basically the country's establishment. I mean, once they go against you, then, I mean, it's impossible really to fight back. Because how do you fight back against, the all-powerful establishment? And all the political parties ranged against me, all 12 of them on one side, backed by the establishment. And I'm all alone, and my party, all the senior leadership is in jail. And all the work, 10,000 workers picked up. So it's a very tough time I'm going through. 2 assassination attempts. And, who knows, a possibility of a third one, certainty of going to jail. So it is the biggest struggle of my life. But it's not politics. Let me just finally say, it's not politics. We are fighting actually for democracy in terms of democracy meaning freedom. And democracy can only come when there's rule of law. When you have the powerful in a country above law, as it is the case in Pakistan, I'm afraid the country has no future. The people who die crossing the Mediterranean or going over from South America to North America, immigrants who risk their lives, all are escaping countries which do not have rule of law and hence are called banana republics, or where there's poverty, are moving towards countries which have rule of law, which have democracy, freedom. So this is what we're fighting for in Pakistan. Yeah. I started my movement 27 years ago, movement for justice. It was for movement for rule of law.
That's the crucial issue at stake. Thank you so much, Imran Khan, for making time to talk to us this afternoon on the programme. Thank you.